It is February 25th. This is of course the video that takes 30,000 to a million. After I give you a brief overview of the account and show you what's up and all these recent losses, I'm going to talk about Ebix right now. It's a very timely debate on this company. I've initiated a very large position relative to my account, and it is imperative that I get this right. So I want to discuss the ins and outs of what's going on here with the company a little bit and show you some interesting facts and details about it. So without further ado, let's go into the account. So this is the account here. I'm down quite a bit since the last video. I'm 142,000 right now. I think I last made a video 152,000, so a 10k drop. Most of that is due to Apple and Ebix. So I'm going to quickly scroll through all the positions on the right. These are the options first, then the securities, and then we're going to talk about Ebix. So here is the ticker, SLB for example, this one. Then that's the strike price of the option, well, it's whether it's call or put, the expiration date, and the number of contracts, and whether it's a sell or buy. I'm going to quickly scroll here. You can feel free to pause the video at any point during this scrolling to figure out the exact positions that I have if you're so interested in knowing. Apple has been a real big downer. I've lost a ton of money on Apple so far. However, I've managed to pick up like 40 shares. So that's great for me for a long-term hold. And everything else, the account besides Ebix and Apple has actually been on a tear. I've been doing great. So this is number shares and the symbol, and the number on the right is the daily change, the green number, or the red is the daily change in valuation of my position, excluding options activity in the background. So you'd have to try to make the determination how exactly the position moved if you combine the options and the ticker here in these holdings. So this is it. If you're interested in the week performance, this is it. Down substantially, almost $10,000, 6.09%. This is the month, down $13,000, 8.64. Definitely getting wrecked relative to the market, but I am confident that I'm going to bounce back, so no worries. 3 months up 8.34%, and then this is the year, 54.65, all time 111%.1. I took this account seriously on August 28th 2018. It's when I started putting money into it. That's why it's all flatline, because I didn't have any money in it before. Okay, so that's about the account. Now I'm going to talk about Ebix, right? So I picked up this huge position. In fact, let me just briefly show you the exact position of what I'm owning. So I have a ton of put options. I have 400 shares. All right, so let me show you here. My market value is $10,000 in my options right now. I have 400 shares, and my cost was $16,000, so about over $6,000 down on that so far. And the options here, you may not be able to see all of them, but I have a liability of $4,700 or so. Up about 400 on the day. All-time return is negative $1,600, and these are the options here. I've also sold some call options for 300 shares of Ebix, but that's at price of $65, which is not likely to be reached anytime soon. My collateral is $23,000 on the line. So these are all the options here for Ebix. It's an enormous amount, including this $40 put option that expires in June 18th. Now, just a little bit about Ebix. Apparently they have 8,000 employees, and they do all kinds of crap. Okay, so they do all kinds of insurance related stuff, finance related stuff. They build out the infrastructure for all these companies on the software end, and they also provide like travelers insurance themselves. They also they also run an exchange business, especially in India, and they do all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, payments. They have a gift card business, which is kind of the topic of today's problematic number counting that I'm going to discuss. but they have a finger in a lot of things. Okay, make a lot of money. I'm gonna pull up the FinViz in a little bit, but before I go into that, the whole crux of the matter is why it dropped like 50% or 100, no, like 50% or something like that lately, is because their auditor, I think their RSM or something like that, quit. They don't have one of the big four or big five now accounting firms, and their accounting firm basically, the auditor, quit. They resigned because they had a disagreement. Either they were unable to account for all the money properly, or the company wasn't providing sufficient information to account properly. I don't know who's at fault here, but there is a precedent to this with this company, with Ebix. They've had accounting issues in the past, and the way they've been solved is they would just throw some money at them and everything's fine and dandy. Now, the company has been around for a very long time, since 1876. This current CEO is probably the biggest red flag of the company. Is not very popular among the investors. However, he runs, or at least him together with the board, have ran a very successful company so far. They've been growing very well, and the numbers look terrific. So that's why a lot of investors just kind of hold their nose, close their eyes, and just buy, because earnings of this company have grown steadily, and they've survived pretty well through the whole virus situation. So that's it. I mean, the resignation. So to be more specific about it, so what they're upset about is two things. One is that they can't provide, the accounting firm can't provide sufficient data on some of the transactions coming out of their gift card business in India. And the other crux of the matter is that there's a $30 million cash amount that was allocated for an acquisition, and it was placed in a specific trust for that acquisition, but it's the firm was having trouble accounting for it, or either Ebix or the firm is at fault here about how the funds are classified. However, just this Monday, Ebix came out and said that the money is back into Ebix's accounts now, so it's no longer trust anyway, so that's really not an issue there. So there could be a little bit of smoke. It could be, just the accounting firm being incompetent themselves, and being a small firm, it is definitely possible. Smaller. I don't know how big they are, but they're not one of the major ones, right? So I don't know why they're not using one of the major accounting firms. Maybe they're too cheap. Maybe the board is trying to save money or whatever. But that's the issue. Now, as far as the company goes, oh, by the way, just the issue themselves, I think it's a very high likelihood that it's just going to blow over in like a few months. They might have trouble getting their accounting done in time, since their earnings call is supposed to be in the beginning of March. But I don't know. We're just speculating right now. Now, I'm going to go into the FinViz first, okay, to give you a little bit of overview, and then I'm going to talk about something else about this company. So this is kind of like their chart. These are the numbers back here. I know it's a little bit cut off, but I'm going to talk about it. So on the left here, this is the market cap, this number. Right now, it's a little bit off because the company was up today and it hasn't really updated yet. These figures are a little bit old, right? We're going to find out what the new ones are. It's supposed to be somewhere between 100 and 130 million dollars of income. The sales are pretty massive. I mean, especially relative to the market capitalization of the company. You can see the PE is very attractive, especially for a software company with enormous margins. So the forward PE is like 6, which is crazy. I mean, you don't even see things like that out of energy companies nowadays. And the margins are all positive. I mean, everything looks pretty good on this company, like gross margins, operating margins, return on asset of 6%. Usually it's very low for this type of business, like software associated business. However, they do a lot of services. So whenever they're considered a software as a service, a type of company, and they build out the infrastructure, but then they're also on the hook to kind of try to help out these companies integrate and everything else, and they have to fix issues as they arise. So they do actually pay a lot for their engineer employees, sales team, and service team. So that's kind of their main expense, and they do have 8,000 employees. Now, this stock is very shorted because they've had issues in the past, and it's understandable, it's risky. So it's 21% short float, short ratio of about 8.54. I expect that a lot of people are going to be trying to cover their shorts this week. I just don't know when, based on this information here. And so now let's go into some other interesting things about this company. Okay, so there's been speculation out there on the web that the main guy, the CEO, Robin Reyna, has been trying to acquire, kind of a really big controlling stake in the company, and he doesn't really mind if this kind of stuff happens. So he may be actually, there's speculation that he may be actually doing stuff like that intentionally to try to get a larger size of the company for himself. He does get paid in stock, and mostly he just gets paid like $100,000 cash, and everything else is stock. And it looks like he's a very, very large holder of the company, the largest, in fact. Let me show you some numbers here. First, I'm going to show you this, which is quarterly institutional transactions. Let me see if you can view it properly here. Good enough. And it's up a little bit. The biggest institutional holder is BlackRock Fund Advisors that owns 11.09% of the company. But let me show you this, right? This is all the individual insider and roster investors. So let me scroll up. So you can see here that Robin Reyna actually owns close to 4 million shares of the company, which is quite a bit. So I calculated it real quick maths right in my head, and that's equal to $100 million. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but that's actually more than 10% of the company, right? It's like 12-13% of the company at the moment. And I didn't notice, I searched through his past transactions, and it seems like he's trying to accumulate. He bought a bunch of stock back in March 2020 after the crash for like $9. He bought like another million's worth. So that's definitely, helped out. But my point is that he owns a really, really large piece of the company, and I think people think that he's in accumulation mode. So that could explain some of the lack of ferocity. Anyway, I'm trying to use big words. Lack of eagerness, okay, to set things straight with this accounting firm. They did release press statements, but it's really like they're not putting a lot of effort to try to clear things up. There hasn't been any like calls scheduled or any like interviews or anything like that, or any, so it's just a couple press releases to try to clarify things, and that's it. Wash hands. So I don't know if nobody knows what's going on with their earnings call, whether it's going to happen or not, whether they're going to have the books ready by quarter end or not. So it's a little bit unknown right now. But this could, in the past, this kind of stuff has served as an opportunity for accumulators to get more of this company. So I think obviously I put my money where my mouth is, and I think this is kind of an opportunity to make some money. But I don't really advise anyone else do it. There's a lot of risk involved in here, and if you're gonna go into something like this, you got to do your own due diligence, and don't just listen to me. This does not count as due diligence, okay? It's a YouTube video, and make sure you do your own research, and just know that it's possible that this company goes to zero and you lose all of your principal. just like with any stock in the market. Okay, so you've been warned. So that's the interesting stuff I wanted to show you. I mean, it's a really interesting company. I think it's an opportunity, and these figures here are just mind-blowing for me. You know, it's kind of crazy. So right now I'm not obsessed, but I'm really looking at heavily at Ebix, obviously, and Verizon. I've talked about it in my last video. I haven't had a chance to accumulate because it's been going up. So I only have like $1,500 in Verizon, but I really like that company, and of course, this is just what I'm doing. It's not a financial advice or a recommendation or anything like that. Okay, so that's it with the story. Hopefully you all got some value out of this, and let me know if you are going to jump on this train or not. This would be entertaining to watch, to say the least. Alright, I'm going to end it right there. Peace out.